I'm really thrilled by the wonderful opportunity to connect the ENSA, European Network of Social Authorities, the Veneto region and the Youth Care Platform to this Europe Goes Local long-term collaboration partnership to support youth work. So let me introduce myself. I'm Elena Curtopassi from the Veneto Region Brussels office, and I'm supporting the coordination of these networks. We had this invitation from Ms. Panagiota, Karametou, and Ms. Eleni Stamouli from the Greek National Agency to introduce the ENSA network to your meeting, and this was done thanks to the Social Cooperative Altera Vita and the Municipality of Syros from Greece, members of the ENSA network. Indeed, together, we are partners in another Erasmus-funded project, We Hear You, a program for youth professionals to support democratic dialogue and youth participation. We produce 2 e-learning courses and a database of good practices. Altera Vita had a proposal from the National Agency of Greece to participate at the Europe Goes Local partnership with a virtual study visit to their organization. So the big questions, how do we work and engage young people? I would say 2 key words, connection and co-creation. How are we doing it? We're doing it with the support of a European network, ENSA. So what is ENSA? ENSA is a network of European cities and regions coordinated by the Veneto region, which has been active for more than 20 years in the field of social inclusion. Membership is free, just active participation is needed. ENSA joins effort with the Youth Care Platform, addressing the needs of vulnerable youth, and with the Land of Carinthia, who is steering it with the support of the Odyssey University in Belgium. What do? We promote international cooperation, mutual learning, exchange of know-how, and experiences in the social sector. We deepen the dialogue with the EU, bringing its opportunities closer to the citizens, and we participate jointly to European programs and projects. We organize our work in 5 thematic working groups. Each one is led by a different local authority. We have Child and Family, led by the Flemish Agency for Child and Family, Kind en Gezin. We have Disability, led by Conseil Départemental du Val-de-Marne, the Elderly, led by the City of Rotterdam, Youth and Family by the Veneto region, and Inclusion, which is transversal to all working groups. Speaking of connecting activities, once a year we go local for a General Assembly. It is an international, large-scale platform meeting which is organized with all the working groups, the EU institution, the Youth Care Platform, the ELISAM, European Local Inclusion and Social Action Network, and interested stakeholders. Each time it is hosted by a different local authority. It is a learning exchange opportunity with study visits where we build projects together. So my suggestion now is to take you to a local journey together with some examples of practices and projects. First of all, I suggest you to go to the Veneto region, my region. And so the Veneto region just approved a regional law in 2020 to promote the institutional participation of young people in the political and administrative life of the local communities. This has been done following the ratification of the UN Conventions of the Rights of the Child. What can the Young People Council can do? They can submit proposal for deliberation to the City Council and the regional government and express an opinion on any subject that is of specific interest. There are also local plans for the youth. The local plans for the youth are defined by the municipalities with the support of social services, local health authorities, NGOs, youth associations, and they have as goal active participation in community life. So far, we have 21 local plans, nearly 150 projects, and nearly 500 municipalities which are involved. I also wish to take this opportunity to raise your awareness about the Next to You, which is a network for the empowerment, the social and labor inclusion of trafficked minors and young adults. Finally, I wish to say a word about COVID-19, and it is to be mentioned that in our region, one of the key pillars to react against these emergencies have been the families. And now we go on with our trip. And I take you to France, to Conseil départemental du Val-de-Marne, close to Paris. So the Conseil départemental du Val-de-Marne has been coordinating the ENSA working group on disability for more than a decade. And it highlights that cross-sectorial collaboration is one of the most efficient ways to deliver results in the social field at local and European level. What does it imply? It implies working together to find common solutions, even in what seem to be opposite areas. Indeed, at local level, the new public policy autonomy plans provides very good example of that, since they have 38 future projects which are within this policy and which are completely designed in a transversal way. Furthermore, the ENSA Working Group on Disability has enlarged its field of action, becoming a single working group, bringing together elderly and disability, and it is led side by side with the city of Rotterdam. Many cross-sectorial European projects have been undertaken within this group and network. And to give you some examples, I will mention the project above, Abilities on the Move, which has as topic overcoming social and employment barriers of persons with psychic disabilities, or projects on the inclusion of aging people with disability. So different sectors can and have to bring their efforts together to improve the quality of life of people needing support, whatever the age. And this is true especially today, when society is facing two huge challenges: the increased number of aging persons and the crisis related to COVID-19. Both these challenges have great impacts in economic and social terms. People of different ages are experiencing, nevertheless, their effects in different ways. Intergenerational solidarity can be a key in order to fight impacts of the crisis, such as loneliness and exclusion of young people, elderly, and persons with disabilities. So how can we rely more on youth to fulfill these goals, is the question. I think there is a window of opportunity of employment and training in these sectors. Let me take this opportunity of inspiration to highlight the 5 years department plan of autonomy in Val-de-Marne, where the promotion and training of youth is central. This includes overcoming social and employment barriers of persons with psychic disability. It is an inclusive approach which requires innovative practices and vocational training methods in fighting ageism, developing intergenerational housing, and supporting young caregivers. Now, I follow my trip and I suggest you to go to the UK, to London, where we work with Double Helix Resources, which is actively involved in the ENSA Youth Working Group. So the Double Helix addresses the difficulties of vulnerable children and young people and of families, and is dealing with social exclusion. These difficulties can contribute to disruptions of memory, awareness, identity, and perception. And when one or more of these is disrupted, it traps children and young people in an unhappy presence. The solution involves the production of a double helix app and a training course which is actually in use. The double helix is an interactive tool designed to record life events on one helix and the underlying narratives on another. To highlight a little bit the work done in the UK, before the pandemic, the work was connected to skill, qualities and structures involved in interpersonal and intrapersonal communication. The work regarded inclusion, revolving around the issues of race, gender, disability, but also around the needs of migrants and refugees. The education was higher on the agenda, with the learning of young people and families, and to find effective ways of teaching and learning within a complex learning environment. A few reflections. The effect of the pandemic has been to intensify these issues and their effect on individuals and groups affected. The feeling of shared vulnerability that we all experienced during the global lockdown has led to an increased empathy and compassion for the more vulnerable of our societies. It is also linked to the recent upsurge of support for the Black Lives Matter movement. Despite the huge increase in need and difficulty of delivery, there is also there a window of opportunity to initiate and deliver projects that will contribute to the transformations in our society that we all have been working towards. We sincerely hope that the collaboration between the organizations, regions and cities across Europe also intensify over the coming years, and that the UK is still able to participate in them. Last but not least, my wish is to take you to Flanders with a very big topic, the fight against homelessness and youth homelessness. The Way Home started as a national coalition in Canada, reimagining solutions to youth homelessness through transformations in society, planning and practice. It became an international movement for change with coalitions all over the world in the USA, Australia and Europe. These local coalitions work on solutions to youth homelessness through community planning programs, public engagements, government relations, research, partnership and collaboration, actions, and by consulting with frontline service providers with youth with lived experience. So in Flanders, they started the first Way Home coalition in Antwerp, Mind the Gap, with successful results. In 2020 and 2021, they will continue their work and start coalitions in 10 new cities and regions who will work on solutions to youth homelessness. In the support for these coalitions, they will work on 3 important topics. How to build bridges with a lot of different stakeholders, how to create broad local support, and how to involve youngsters with lived experience. Through the ENSA Network, they inform the other members how this work goes and consult them in order to exchange their successful good practices on youth participation. Finally, another collaboration I wish to mention on youth transition is the one done with IFFD, International Federation for Family Development. Let me conclude by a few words saying that inclusion, developing opportunities involving cities, citizens, region and the EU are at the core of ENSA aim. Specifically with COVID-19 crisis, where we ask ourselves what future all youngsters may have in a situation of pandemic. Our general well-being is globally interconnected and relies on the active involvement, participation and solidarity from all members of society with no distinction of age, disability, race, sex and background. Thank you so much.